Hello everybody and welcome to Realistic Realtors with Superior Coaching School. I'm Nick, this is my business partner Bill, and we're on lesson 25 of our success planning. And we're going to keep it real with you because we're going to give you a plan to put into action right now because that's what we're all about. Today's topic we're talking about is seller objections. So Bill, how often do we meet seller objections like, hey, I got a friend in the business I know?
All the time. So just a few weeks ago, I went to a listing presentation, and the name of the seller was Lena. I sat down with Lena, and I was like, hey, listen, let's talk about listing your house. And she said, I have a best friend who's a realtor. I said, well, that's great. Let's talk about your friend's qualifications. How long have they been selling real estate? How many houses have they sold? And how many houses in this neighborhood have they sold? And what price point have they sold? I don't know. Well, I tell you what, I can answer all those questions for you right now. Okay, because I've been selling this long, I sold so many houses, this price point I sell all the time, and I actually sold your neighbor's house, or I sold one down the street last year, or whatever it is. Qualify yourself, ask them to go back and ask that realtor, their friend, what their experience is. And then I look at them and say, listen, when it comes down to it, when you hire a good friend, it's really on a personal level. So the bad thing about hiring them to sell your house, there might be at times you might want to yell at them. You'd rather be yelling at me, okay? I won't take it personally. It's business, and that's what you have to remember. And if it's a buyer, and I'm trying to get their business as a realtor, I look at them and say, listen, you just said you might want to use your good friend. Do you know when we go to buy a house, you're going to have to share with them how much money you and your husband make, tax returns, how much you have in savings, how much debt you have, and how good your credit is. You might not want to share that with your good friend.
It's not always good to mix business and friends and family, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, so I mean, those are all great responses to that objection. Hey, I get a friend in the business, and why don't I just use them? If you basically want to stress the point of, well, if you want what's best for your bottom line and for your value, for what you're looking to do, the ultimate objective is to sell your home. If that's what's truly the most important thing to you, then you should be using me, right?
Yeah, because selling a house is one of the most stressful situations you're going to have in life. And I'm the professional that I've sold a lot of houses, and I will walk you through the process, and I will hold your hand. You will not get rid of me from the time we sign the paperwork tonight until closing. You have me at your beck and call. Look, I already have you on my phone.
Yeah, and you know what? For those of you guys listening out there who maybe are newer to the business and don't have as much background and experience, what you then need to do is really sell the value that you provide. What makes you special, makes you different? How much harder are you going to work? What are you going to do differently that someone, again, that maybe they just know somebody won't do, right? So, it could be the social media aspect. Well, you want to use a realtor who's going to promote your home and sell your home online.
Have a presence.
Exactly. You want to have a presence online. And you also want to make sure you have a good proposition when it comes to how quickly you're going to sell your home. You might have some guarantees that you're going to put in there. You're going to have some different advertising programs that you're going to expose their home to. Whatever your value proposition is, that is what's going to set you apart from the competition. And Bill, you bring up something earlier where you just mentioned, well, selling your home is one of the hardest things you can do, right?
Yep.
So why do we, I'm just going to play devil's advocate. I'll be the potential seller. Well, why do I even need a realtor in the first place?
Well, because only less than 2% of the homes that sell out there are people that don't use a realtor. So if you want to be one of those 2%, great. The other 98% are going to use a realtor, and they're going to be successful at selling their house. I'll tell you something else. As your realtor, I bring professionalism into this market that you're not aware of. So I will get your house sold for more than you can get your house sold for.
Yeah.
I will get your house sold for more than the next realtor you think you're going to hire, because I know I'll do a better job than that other realtor.
Yeah, and I think what's important is that you see that you're improving the value, right? We have behind us studies have shown that houses sold using a realtor sell for about 15% more. That's a huge margin.
That's a huge margin because, every seller loves their house. They think it's the Taj Mahal, right? The best house out there. I know I do. I love my house. Well, guess what? A realtor will know the current comps to date, okay? You will not know. And a lot of times, with that stat right there you talk about, a seller will go list their house too high. and then it sits on the market and it gets stale. And they'll wind up dropping the price even lower than where I told them to list that house in the first place. So many people think that they're an expert in selling their house. They don't need a realtor. Well, they really do. One thing I've lived my life by, Nick, I don't care if it's someone painting my house, cutting my lawn, okay? I hire a professional. They're gonna do a better job than me no matter what. You know, like, listen, I love my dad. He flies a little Cessna plane, right? Well, he flies once a month. Now I'm going up with a guy that flies, you know, for United or American every week. You know, I want someone that has that experience that I can trust. And that's the big thing. How could you go sell your house with a brand new realtor who's your friend or by yourself, right? You know, the FSBOs out there. You never done it before. Maybe you did it once. Maybe you were living in downtown Chicago, you put a sign up. You know, it depends where your market is. But either way, you'll have a better transaction because you know what, Nick? What do they all think? They think it's just about getting in the contract. What happens, Nick, after we get a house in contract? What does a realtor have to do?
Well, you have to avoid all of the different bumps in the road that come your way. There's a lot of negotiation. There's a lot of navigating, right? And as we always say, we're psychiatrists that also help sell homes, right?
Nice.
That's what we do. We talk people off the cliff 95% of the time. That's part of the job description. The one thing I come back to is this, Bill. Whether it's someone who said they have a friend in the business, or it's a FSBO who doesn't want to use a realtor, no matter whoever it is, when you're trying to earn their business, the number one way to earn their business is to have amazing follow-up, right? I always say this, if for anything else, nobody in this planet is going to outwork me, right? And if you know for a fact that you're going to be the hardest working realtor out there, then you have a shot at any of these people because they can't say to you, well, I have a friend in the business. Well, that's great. You have a friend in the business, but do they do it full time? Because I know I will, and I'm going to call you back tomorrow at 3 o'clock. And tomorrow at 3 o'clock, I'm going to call them back, and I'm going to follow up. And just by sheer persistence and follow-up, you can earn that business. The same thing with the FSBO.
Yeah, and with the FSBOs, Nick, I like to point out, well, okay, so you've been representing yourself. You haven't sold your house. That's why I'm here. Are you comfortable with a buyer coming in and having a realtor, a professional on their side? And you don't. It's like going to divorce court representing yourself. You don't want to be there.
Going to any court representing yourself, right? Yeah.
You want to make sure that you have professional representation, period. And something I'll point out too, if you're there with that FSBO and they're hesitant, say, listen, I'll tell you what, let me do a free open house for you this weekend. If I do a good job, then we come back Monday night, we sign the paperwork listing your house.
Yeah.
I think really what it comes down to with the FSBO part of this is they need to hire a professional, and you just have to point out all the different positive attributes that you bring to the deal that they're not aware of. I mean, think about it. We were talking before, Nick, once you get in a contract, what's that FSBO going to have to do? They're going to have to deal with repairs. So, Nick, how is a FSBO going to negotiate the repairs with the other agent?
Well, the other side of it is not just the repairs, but maybe beforehand, right? So we brought up another example here. Maybe the home isn't ready. If you're looking to list it by yourself, you're for sale by owner, how would you know what kind of improvements should I do? And a lot of times we get a lot of for sale by owners that think, oh, the most important thing is I got to replace these carpets, where maybe the kitchen's awful and they should have spent the money to fix the kitchen rather than put the money towards the carpets, right? Things of that nature. So having a seller come back to you and say, Bill, we're not ready to list yet. We got improvements to make. I'm not ready to list. What would you say to that?
Okay, listen, we walked around the house and we went through the house. I made a list of items that I think that you need to repair or fix before we get this house listed. So let's go down, say there's 10 items. There's 3 or 4 that are crucial that I need you to fix to get this house ready to get you top dollar. You have to invest money in selling your house. If you want top dollar, like you're telling me, then you have to spend a little money to make it top dollar. So let's look at this. Right now, you have 10 rooms in your house. You have 7 different colors. Guess what? We need 1 color, and right now it's light gray, okay? You have some carpets that are dirty. We can get these clean. They're not so bad. Or they need to be cleaned. We got to fix those. And then we have those Formica countertops. It's got to be granite or quartz. But I have good news for you. I'm going to make your life easier. I have a painting contractor, a carpet contractor, and a countertop contractor. They will come over this week and give you a quote. And you will see spending the $6,000 to $8,000 is gonna get you the extra $20,000 that you're looking for. Because if you don't do it, you're not getting it.
Yeah, and here's how you approach that subject as well. You bring it up as, here's my team that I use, right? By using that phrase, you say, I have a team that will come in and evaluate and give you quotes and estimates right away. By doing that, you're giving them a level of comfort because you're saying, these are people that I trust, right? And make sure these are good contractors that you're recommending,
Right, sure.
right? You got to make sure you do trust them.
Because if not, Nick, and they don't do a good job, whose fault is it going to be?
It's yours.
So you better make sure you trust that contractor, you give that referral, and you tell that contractor you do a good job. Because if they don't do a good job, you're getting a phone call.
Yeah, exactly. But what it allows you to do, if you do have amazing people, right, you can then go to those contractors and say, okay, go give me an estimate for them, give them a quote, give them some advice on what you can do and how quickly it can be done. And then what you're able to do is, again, give that seller comfort and letting them know, I have a team that's going to come out and give you quotes and estimates on everything that you have listed that we've discussed needs to be done in your home. You can know exactly how much it's going to cost you, how quickly it can be done, and how soon we can put it on the market. And what that does for the seller is it starts to develop a plan, right? So we're no longer just talking up in the air, kind of generic. We're discussing an actual plan of putting it on the market.
You bring up a plan, I'm glad you did, because right when I walk, I park in the driveway, I walk up to the front door, I look at the mulch, I look at the landscaping, I look at the front door. So first impressions, I need the landscaping cut, I need new mulch or pine straw, whatever put down, I need that front door 9 out of 10 times painted. Then people walking up to the house are like, okay, they take care of the landscaping, the door's painted, right away they perceive that these people probably take care of their house. And then when we walk into the house, guys, the next plan, I tell them, this is what we need to do. Here's the 10 items. Let's pick out 3 or 4 that we have to do to get your house in that position to go sell it. And if they buy in to fixing the outside presence, just up the walkway, the front door, and some of the inside presence, then I could go and say, next step, do we need a stager? And I have a stager on my team. So we can look at that, because really what it comes down to, I will help you get your house in the perfect condition. And so that's the plan. From the time you walk up the steps and to the time you view your house, and show the people that you're willing to share, all your contractors to get that house in that condition.
So my biggest takeaway right here for everybody is trust. You want to build that trust.
Yep.
And you do that by having your team behind you and being prepared for every scenario. So do you want to review a little bit more about kind of some of the responses?
Yeah, so, a lot of responses, if it's, hey, I'm not ready to list yet, well, listen, you know something? I agree with you. Agree with them, right? You do have some stuff to fix up in your house, but let me help you get the house fixed up. Because after you do that, in the meantime, I can get my appraiser over to measure, I can get my contractors over to give quotes, and I can get my photographer scheduled, because he's like the best around. He's always like 2 weeks out. So that's one of the objections. If the objection of, hey, my friend sells real estate, the easiest thing is once you tell them that you have to share your financials with your best friend, they're really taking you serious at that point.
Yeah, exactly. And then you come to FSBOs as well, where you basically share your expertise, and you tell them that only 2% of all sales are sold by FSBOs. And you don't want to be negotiating against a professional, right? You're the professional. Don't go into battle. Don't go into court without a lawyer, right? Without representation. Make sure that they understand that just going under contract is not closing the deal.
And the easiest response is, your house has been listed for 90 days. It isn't sold yet. So maybe relinquish the reins for 60 days and give me a shot and see how we do.
Yeah, I think the statistic is like 75% to it's like 70 to 80% of all FSBOs end up hiring a realtor.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of when, not if.
Exactly.
Right? So I think this is all great content that we've shared today, but we're going to bring in a special guest to share even more on some scripts and responses to seller objections, and how do we get the deal, how do we get the listing, even when maybe they're a little bit hesitant about it. So we're really excited to bring on our special guest. And we'll check back later this week, and we'll see you guys on our next video.
See you guys next week.